Hello everyone, this is Matthew from Beekeeper Studio. I just dropped a 3.3 release. I'm here to take you through new features. Now, alright, you may notice, first things first, I'm on a Mac. I'm not usually on a Mac, I'm usually on Linux. I'm on a Mac for a good reason. One, this is running in native Apple Silicon mode, so I have a full M1 working release for Beekeeper Studio. Update should work, should just be transparent. Like no big deal updates. The second thing is, and this is for Windows users too, and some Linux users, we now have theme integration with the operating system. So when you switch to dark theme, Beekeeper Studio will switch to dark theme. You can override this, of course, but this is a new default behavior for Mac users. Lots of people have been asking for this. Happy to bring it in on this release. Okay, let's jump into more general features. I'm going to connect to Postgres because I think there's some great stuff in here that I can show for Postgres users. First of all, let's have a look at this result table down here. So this looks great, but you know what? I'm going to modify my query and run it. Oh, hey, I made a typo. But what's this? I get a little squiggly line to tell me that there's a typo in this word of the query, and the Postgres error has been updated to show you what line and character any kind of syntax errors on. These errors are also a lot more rich than they were before. So if you have a Postgres database and you've been finding our errors a little weak, hopefully this should help you. I'd love to introduce this kind of squiggly red line feature to other databases in future, but out of the box, Postgres is the only database that really supports this kind of feedback. Second part is, a lot of people have been saying they like to copy a whole row of data, and we don't really have great capabilities for that other than downloading the whole table. So we've added a few little shortcuts here. So let's say I want to copy this row of data. If I right click, I can now copy not only the cell but copy the entire row as either JSON or Excel format. So the Excel format's pretty nice because if you jump into a spreadsheet, and this works with Excel as well, it'll paste it directly in and separate the columns straight away. We'll also escape any formula data that's in your database. So if anything looks like a formula and might cause havoc in your spreadsheet, that'll get escaped, so you won't end up pasting a formula in by mistake. This also works now on the copy to clipboard of any kind of table results. So if I copy that to clipboard and come in here and paste it, you can see the same thing applies. All the text is split nicely to columns. It looks great. Everyone's happy. Great for spreadsheets. The second part is copying the row as JSON, and that's kind of how you would expect it to be. You can copy it as JSON, stick it in here. This is a nice single line of JSON that formats perfectly. So these two new copy features also work on the table view, and part of what I've been doing is trying to make these two tables kind of work the same way. So here, same options. Right click, copy cell, copy row, copy row. So that should make things a lot easier for everybody when they're trying to get data out of Postgres or out of MySQL or SQLite and into a spreadsheet or into their system. Great. Let's talk about tables. Everyone loves tables. Sometimes you have a database, has a big table, it's really wide, lots of columns. I know you didn't design it, right? You inherited this from some dude who really messed it up. Or the table's grown over time as the database has expanded, and one more column doesn't hurt. Well, for Beekeeper previously it did hurt because scrolling on a large table that was very wide was kind of painful. That's no longer the case. Tables scroll vertically and horizontally much quicker with large data tables. That's in large part thanks to working closely with the creator of this table library, Ollie at Tabulator, who did an incredible job helping me debug some of the performance problems with tables. So that's a great new fix or feature in Beekeeper Studio that I hope everyone will enjoy. One last thing on tables. I know that sometimes it's not really obvious when you run multiple queries in the same window, like how do I see this actor data, right? How do I see this film data? There's always been this drop-down box at the bottom, but it's not been super obvious. So we're doing a couple of things to highlight this. First, if you've never used this drop-down before, you'll get a little notification telling you about it. when you run multiple queries in the same window. And secondly, we've added a number of rows to the dropdown to make it easier to figure out which result to jump to. So both those things together should make it a bit more obvious what you're doing. The last thing is, if you run a query without any results, we'll tell you which query number you've ran, and also suggest that you check out the selection box in the bottom left, just to kind of eliminate any other chances there are that people don't know this result box is here. It's a little thing, but I like to highlight it because this is the kind of attention I like to pay to the app, and I hope that you all appreciate it. All right, we're pretty much at the end of this feature release. It's mostly a modest one to get some of these good ducks in a row, but I think it's got some good features. The last thing I want to touch on is exclusively for the Ultimate Edition. So for those of you who don't know, we now have two editions, Community Edition, which is open source, and Ultimate Edition, which has extra features. The first of which are a couple of new themes. So I have the Solarized theme, which is a very popular theme that's a part of many text editors. These are like kind of soft colors without a lot of contrast. And we also have Solarized Dark, which is the same but kind of with a darker color background. These have a palette of about 5 or 6 colors that are consistent across both themes. So these work pretty great, like across the app, without any real problem. And this is kind of a thank you to all of you who are on the Ultimate Edition. If you'd like to support Beekeeper Studio, we'd love for you to become a customer and buy the Ultimate Edition. If not, please keep using the open source one and tell your friends all about it. Okay, well with that, I've been Matthew. This is Beekeeper Studio 3.3. Thanks very much. I hope you enjoy the release.